All right, let's get flipped over here. Okay, so tonight we are in for something that was pretty popular when Pioneer first became a format. People were really into the. I'm gonna fix my lands here really quick. This drives me crazy. But people were really into the idea of playing Legion Warboss and Goblin Rabblemaster in the same deck. Now, if you played during Goblin Rabblemaster Standard, then you know how absurd the card can get. That's all I played during that standard was Rabble Red. The deck was sweet and I really enjoyed it. It played really well with Stoke the Flames and other burn spells alike. So that we had that and Dragon Fodder in the same format. It was honestly really good. Excuse me. So my buddy sent me this list, and I'm interested to try it and see how it works out. It's a little bit of take on multiple decks I've played over the years and things that I really like. Honestly, it really seems like it's kind of taken the best of all the worlds that I enjoy and just kind of jam them into one thing. So we're playing 8 Llanowar Elves, Elvish Mystics as like dorks to try and ramp us out here because we play a lot of 3-drops and we really want to get going as fast as possible. Burning Tree Emissary plays really well with Bonecrusher Giant, Rabblemaster, and Legion Warboss, and Gallia, so there's a lot of synergy there, and it also plays really well with Reckless Bushwhacker. Questing Beast and Glorybringer are just great curve toppers, and they're really good at the top end of the format. Top end of a curve, and Embercleave's a house in anything. I've never got to put Embercleave on Goblin Rabblemaster, but I'm hoping that's something we get to do tonight. And the sideboard is 2 Magma Spray, 2 Red Cat Melee, 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance, 1 Glorybringer, 3 Scavenging Ooze, 1 Vivian Reed, and 4 Destructive Revelry. I imagine the 4 Destructive Revelry will be really good. Probably if we play against like Install Artifact or if we play against the Auras deck. Scavenging Ooze seems really good against anything burn related or anything life gain related. Vivian Reed seems like it has a lot of utility. I like that as a one of. Glorybringer's like out of the sideboard is a great extra curve topper that really has a lot of like play to it. 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance gives you some grind plus some removal. It's really just it's a great card. Red Cat Melee and Magma Spray are pretty one-sided. They are removal. There's good amount of graveyard hate here in this deck, and I really like it. Feels really well rounded. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump into a league here and see what happens. Pioneer League, 10 event tickets. Thought I had points to play. That's weird. Must have used them last week and forgot about it or something. Do 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 do. Well, oh, wait, why is there no sound? Hang on. Something's not right in the Kool-Aid here. There's no sound and okay. There's the sound we were looking for. Um so I'm gonna be honest, his hand doesn't seem great. I think we're gonna mulligan this. Our opponent has Yorion. Yeah, we need a quick start here against a Yorion deck. I mean this hand's not phenomenal either, but we'll keep it and put a mountain on the bottom. We get to have turn 2 Warboss, which seems pretty good. Um, we'll play the one we drew. It doesn't really matter. We're gonna say go. Yep, the league's ending soon. Thanks a lot. Hi and good luck, opponent. We're a little late to that, but that's okay. Probably Bertha Melanius. Yep, there it is. Getting to play this on turn 2 feels pretty good, I won't lie. And we're attacking. I mean, we have turn 3 Embercleave, which seems pretty okay until we walk face first into Supreme Verdict. Hopefully it's not Deafening Clarion here. We don't really have anything to rebuild with. Say go. Okay. Mentor onto a goblin token. Play that and say go. I mean, we're getting to get in for quite a bit here. So, I mean, it's a pretty aggressive start. I don't see a point in running out our other Llanowar Elf or our other dork here. Omen of the Sea, sure. Our opponent goes to 15. They probably have Supreme Verdict next turn. Hopefully not, but or I mean they could have quite a few things here. Puts one card on top, one card on bottom. They could have Fires of Invention into the Chariot thing, which would be kind of annoying, but Supreme Verdict sucks. Play War Boss, chip in for 1. War Boss was a good pickup. I mean, bricking right there might have spilled the end of the game if I'm being honest. Another Supreme Verdict, okay. That's unfortunate. I mean, like, holding it doesn't really help anything. Like, sure, like, I guess there's, like, some part of me that might want to hold it and try to do something, like, funny with it, but it just seems a little too cute to do that. We should take our 2 points where we can get our 2 points. Plus, if they don't have another spot removal spell or a sweeper, we're looking at just equipping and getting in for half their life total next turn, so... Chain to the Rocks. It's like that's the only thing I can think of for a single wipe. I mean, our opponents had a blocker, double sweeper, and a Chain to the Rocks so far, which is pretty good for their 80 card deck. They're going to Omen of the Sea during their main phase. Okay. Haven't played a land yet, so... One card on top, one card on bottom. Play Steam Vents. Shocks in a Steam Vents. Interesting. Create a 1/1, okay. Play Burning Tree, make mana. We're going to use the mana to equip. Not that it really changes anything. And draw a card. Okay, so our opponent wants to draw a card here, which makes sense. Yep. Oh, that's right. I can't click through it. So I mean, them looking at our they're just Cataxian probing for free here. And they have 4 cards in their hand. It's not like complete Deafening Clarion. Play another Raven's Warning. Chariot. Transmogrify. That's dumb. Well, we were hoping to avoid that one, but... So they get the Burning Tree, and they keep the Embercleave, but we can like equip the Embercleave to something if we draw something worth equipping it to. So... Shocks in something else. Puts Yorion into their hand, okay. That's probably the end of the game. We take 6, 8, and then they have Yorion. We're just going to play it and say go. Them having double sweeper against us was pretty bad. I mean, we're gonna take one more draw step. I don't know what we could draw to get out of this, but you may put a card that you own from outside the game on top of your library. Okay, that seems a little good. By a little good, I mean a lot of good, but still. We take 8, go to 9. I mean, they might just try to end the game here. Who knows? Fires of Invention. It's pretty late in the game, but okay. And now they can cast our Yorion. Yep, feels pretty good. Probably going to take our Stomping Ground here if I had to guess. Yeah, I'm just going to concede. I don't think there's anything we can draw here to beat this. All right. So we want Vivian. We want Chandra. They play quite a few enchantments. We could try to... It seems kind of cute bringing in Revelry, honestly. We'll leave that on the maybe list and we'll see what we want to cut first. Glorybringer doesn't seem great. Try it like that. We'll see what happens. I don't know if it's necessarily right, but we'll try it this way. You might need Cleave just to try and push over the top, but we're just gonna need them to not draw 2 sweepers and a Chain of the Rocks this game. How's it going? You dominating now that I'm not playing? It's really weird. Alright. Yes. We'll be on the go first. This hand's good. We're going to keep this. They have to have Sacred Foundry Chain to the Rocks here to be able to get my Elvish Mystic off the field. So, hopefully that's not the case. I don't think there's anything our opponent can play for a single planes, but... Play Rabblemaster. Yep. Chain of the Rocks now. Yep. Let's get in for 5 here. We're putting our opponent down as fast as we can here. Deafening Clarion is not completely backbreaking to us, but... Our opponent has yet to play a blue land. Could be a coincidence. Alright. Get Gallia down while we can. Play the Llanowar Elf. Attack for 6. Put our opponent to 8. They have to have a blue here to even have Verdict, which they do. Shocking. Our opponent plays an 80 card deck and had Chained to the Rocks into Deafening Clarion into Fires of Invention Supreme Verdict. Well, get in for 4. I mean, for as good as our opponent's draw has been, it kind of just feels like ours has been better, so. Darkest Command would be a good pill. Like Revelry here for Chain to the Rocks would be also really good. Maybe we want more Revelry? I don't know. It still just feels kind of gimmicky. Like it just, I don't know. It just feels like we're trying to be too cute if we're doing something like that. I said that a lot. Is it? What? Because it's true. It's how I feel about that play. Oh, of course. Oh, of course. I mean, why wouldn't you have Supreme Verdict? Jesus. And let me tell you, our opponent draws sweepers like a fool. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody draw sweepers like that. Alright, what's a good draw step here? War Boss was pretty good here. We're going to get him. To hell with the Narset. We don't care about drawing cards. Our opponent's at 3. Wow, that's crazy. Our opponent finds 3rd Supreme Verdict. That's like actually hilarious. Like, I don't even know how to be mad about that. Well, our opponent's at 3. Our opponent's at a, well, I was going to say they're at a virtual 1, but we know one of the 2 cards in our opponent's hands is a Plains. Well, we're giving ourselves an out here to, I guess we technically should have held this. Waited to see what they do. But we're giving ourselves an out here to another Bone Crusher Giant, our Destructive Revelry, or the the thing that I can't think of right now. The Tarkus Command, that's the card we're looking for. That'd be the one, Captain. Man, that must be nice. Transmogrify. 2 random cards in their hand. Takes Agent of Treachery. They take our Stomping Ground. We know none of the cards in their hand. Our opponent attacks for 4. We go to 12. We peel a Tarkus Command and win the game. Huh, okay. Oh, get bent, kid. Lol, 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 lol. We did it. cannot believe we actually drew out of that. Okay. Probably cut a command or two, honestly. Like, say we cut a command, bring in a revelry. Let's try it like that. Revelry actually seems randomly sweet. So I mean, we actually have quite a bit of like grind in our deck here to be able to outplay our opponent with our planeswalkers, and we also have a lot of like aggression in our deck. So I mean, I feel like we kind of possess all of the necessary traits to win this game here. Just run out in the middle and dome 3 people really quick. How many have you killed so far this life? Oh. Alright, game 3 against our opponent, who hates themselves because I don't know why else they'd play this deck. This hand seems fine. I like this hand. Loses to the inevitable Chain to the Rocks into Deafening Clarion, but nonetheless, it is a good hand. Sort my hand how I would in real life. Ooh, and we drew a forest. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Our opponent plays like tapped mountain in some way here, and then chained to the rocks. And then he plays chained to the rocks on our Elvish Mystic. And I said tapped mountain in some way, chained to the rocks. He's holding me to it right now. Do it to me, opponent. No. Alright. Gallia's pretty good here. It's just a haste threat that we can get in with. Gonna be honest, drawing another land there was pretty rough. Like, it's like we need action here the rest of the way. Our opponent only needs one or two sweepers to like end the game here, really. So we're really hoping that we can peel some gas. They're shocking in. Oh, Narset. Okay. So let's see what we're playing into here. They took that thingy. Okay. I mean, that is gas. We're gonna kill Narset. We don't want to give them any more cards here. We probably should have attacked them with the Goblin and attacked them with the Gallia there, because we're not gonna ever try. We're never going to attempt to draw more cards, so it doesn't matter. This is Deafening Clarion. Yep. Play Legion Warboss. Get in for 1. Put our opponent to 15. If they play the Ravens, whatever it's called, we can stomp the token. Whenever one or more creatures you control with flying. Okay, so the creature has to have flying. Okay. 5 cards in their hand. We know that one is the Ravens thing. Supreme Verdict. Interesting. Alright, our opponent's got 3 cards in hand. So I think it's worth to just go ahead and stomp them and then play the Bone Crusher Giant here. We're putting a very reasonable threat on the field, and they took a long time to think about that Supreme Verdict, which means it makes me feel like they don't really have that much left in their hand. Oh. Alright, just kidding. Maybe they weren't thinking. Maybe they were just finally responding. Narset? Okay. See what they find off of Narset. Hopefully not Chain to the Rocks. Chain to the Rocks is like our worst nightmare here. Supreme Verdict. While Supreme Verdict sucks, it's not the end of the world, actually. Bushwhacker would be a decent draw here. Blue to play your Ravens. What is this thing called? The Raven's Warning. Oh, and you gain 2 life. So, man. I guess we'll play this, make them run out their verdict here, but this game feels... Wow. I have to say, for an 80-card deck, our opponent finds a lot of sweepers. It's kind of the one thing I was looking forward to about this matchup is that if nothing else, our opponent didn't have a lot of, would only produce 1 or 2 sweepers a game because they're playing 80 cards. Birth of Melitus, yep, get a Plains. Play your Plains for the turn. So you have Supreme Verdict and an Unknown in hand. Actually, you have Supreme Verdict and a Plains in hand. I mean, Rabblemaster's not bad. Like, might as well play it and attack for 1 here. Like, it's... Not going to attack Narset. Don't really care about it. The fact that that thing lets them put a card on top from outside of the game is ridiculous. Like, that's so dumb. So they make an 0-4, and they're going to put some card on top. I don't really know what it is. Probably a removal spell or something. Maybe they're going to put something in their hand to try and win the game with. It's hard to say. Our opponent's really in the tank about this. We've used less than 7 minutes of our clock, and our opponent has used over 15 of theirs. This feels like the broken record of me playing Moto, is me continuing to play against people who never understand time management. It's a very frustrating feeling. So they play Plains. More than likely play Supreme Verdict here. They get to play Verdict and put Yorion into their hand. And they get to have whatever's on top of their deck. It's ridiculous that we don't even get to know what it is either. Of each upkeep, sacrifice another serpent. Choose one. Tap target permanent. Gains indestructible until end of turn. Wow, that card's stupid. And we draw a land. Yeah, we're going to pack it in here. Well, we drew none of our sideboard cards in game 3 there. And our opponent had 3 sweepers with another. Probably like the same person I played last round or something crazy. Hi and good luck. Alright, 20 minutes later we found a match and we have 6 lands. This is terrible. Our opponent's also on Yorion. I guess we're going to keep this and put an elf back. Play Llanowar Elves and say go. Place irrigated farmland. I think I'm going to take the chance to attack for 3 here, as opposed to playing the other Elvish Mystic. I don't see it adding any major value off the top, so. Okay. Feels like we're probably just playing the same thing as we did, that our opponent's playing like blue-white control. Wow, that's a really good draw. Cast with Surge. Play that tapped, and then we're going to hold the Elvish Mystic to actually use Gallia's ability. Yes, to pick up 2 cards here. Feel like it's better to have the cards here than to have the extra 2 points. Interesting. Play the Rabblemaster. No, we're not going to use the ability, and we're going to Embercleave. Pump up the jam. It should be lethal. It's like it should be exactly lethal unless I counted wrong. Okay. So our opponent is playing the same deck we just played against, which is miserable. Chandra, Vivian Reed, a couple Destructed Revelries. Glorybringer seems bad. I really don't feel like we want Embercleave again. Like, I could be wrong, but I feel like we want as many threats as we can have. And cards like Embercleave depend on us having a board. And when our opponent is playing like multiple sweepers every game, it's really hard to depend on Embercleave being good, in my opinion. We leave in a Tarka's Command because it provides a certain amount of reach, and it also provides a buff if they don't have a sweeper. So it kind of plays the best of both worlds. We'll leave it like this. Hopefully we draw some sideboard cards this round. Game 3 of last match, we didn't draw any sideboard cards, and it was pretty rough. I honestly am convinced that's why we lost that game. I think if... wow, this hand is terrible. Man. At least our opponent mulligans, too. Yeah, we'll keep this hand. This hand's better. What are we putting on the bottom? I think we're going to keep this and put a land on the bottom. We played 21. It's a little greedy, but I think it pays off for us in the long run. So keep this. Put a mountain on the bottom because we have to have the forest. Immediately draw a land and get rewarded for our play. For what it's worth, I still think it's correct to make the play that we just did. Ooh, Berthamolitis? Yep. So I think we're just going to serve up one here. And I think we're just going to stomp them at the end of the turn. And we'll take all the card advantage we can get here. A little more aggressive line would be to run out the Bone Crusher Giant here, which ironically would have been rewarded, but I still don't think it's correct.
I was fixing my glasses.
I heard that and I was like, my God, are you okay? Stomp our opponent to 15. That's not a bad draw. We're just going to go ahead and shock this in. They can't block our Questing Beast, which is phenomenal. And then next turn, we actually have a pretty sweet line, depending on what they have here. We actually get to cast Bone Crusher Giant into Reckless Bushwhacker, unless they have a sweeper here. It appears they're spending the entire time trying to find lands here, which I'm okay with. Like, our opponent last game did not stumble in any way, so the fact that our opponent this game is stumbling a little bit, oh man, that's even better draw. Gives me a little bit of hope that there is some justice in the world. Legion Warboss. Cast Bushwhacker with Surge. And so we get to punch him for quite a bit here. We get to mentor onto the token. It spreads out more damage this way. So they're taking 9 and going to 4 here because they're going to block the Warboss. And then now Supreme Verdict. I mean, Supreme Verdict sucks. There's nothing we can do about that. But we do have a Tarkus command here. Puts 2 cards on the bottom of their library. Okay, that's good for us. Also, notably, their well, this feels like a verdict. Deafening Clarion doesn't save them here. Yep, Supreme Verdict is pretty good. Is that the instant speed Valakut card? So we get to run out our Bone Crusher Giant here, and then when they go try, and then they get to try and gain 2 life here off the Berthamolitis, we actually get to Skullcrack them, which is pretty awesome. Deals 3 damage to each opponent. Your opponents can't gain life this turn. Deals 3 damage to each opponent. Boom, there it is. So we get to put them to 1, essentially, which means if they have an instant or sorcery that has to target our Bone Crusher Giant, they can't play it. Now, they can do some dumb stuff here. We haven't won this game by any stretch of the imagination, but we have put ourselves in a semi-decent spot. It's like I don't think our opponent realized that they had Fires of Invention on the field. I mean, to be fair, when I played Fires of Invention, I spent a lot of the time tapping mana for things. So like I'm not ragging on our opponent. That's actually a weird thing to try and remember, honestly. To get yourself out of the habit of spending mana on things is really weird. Oh god, puts 2 cards on top of their library. That's not good for us. Put Yorion into their hand. Plays Yorion. They're going to draw a bajillion cards here. They can actually play a spell here. Deafening Clarion is pretty good. So now you get to Omen of the Sea 3 times, which is absolutely absurd. Hopefully we just draw like a Revelry or a Bone Crusher Giant, or I mean, there's a lot of good draw steps here. Need to wait. Okay, let's go back up here. Okay. Puts 2 cards on the bottom. Alright, I can't read any of that, but I did see one that said put 2 cards on the bottom. I mean, this isn't bad. We get to let our token get hit here, but they do have a lot of cards, so I mean, technically this does present lethal next turn if they don't have an answer to it, so it's also very possible that they just have an untapped land and the 7 mana Steal Your Thing guy, like whatever that guy's called, Agent of Treachery, I think's what it's called. Our set of spill number 1. A Deafening Clarion would be pretty bad for us here, because they get to sweep our side of the board and they get to gain 4 and go to 5, which does make the game pretty tough here. Kenrith was such a house in these decks in Standard. Or Kenrith, is that what it's called? Whatever that 5-drop was called, that like legendary creature, the white legendary creature, the 5-drop, that card was annoying. Our opponent's really thinking here. Takes Transmogrify. Plays Teferi, okay. I mean, Teferi's your second spell, so they're going to put that back, play a tapped land, which means they have Transmogrify and a random card. And they can't interact. Yay, we did it. Well, we beat 4-color Yorion the second time around, or maybe that was just Jeskai Yorion. I never saw green. There was no Triumph, there was no anything. So, our opponent didn't draw great game 2 there, honestly. Like that doesn't seem like a good matchup for us, if I'm being honest. Like just all of they just like Chain to the Rocks is such a good removal spell, and they have so many sweepers. Really doesn't feel like a good matchup for us. But we were able to sneak out of there with a win. So we're 1-1 with our 8 Rabblemaster Pioneer deck. Hi and good luck. Yes, we'll go first. Our opponent's playing Lurrus. With our opponent playing Lurrus, we're going to keep this because normally I wouldn't keep this because it's slow, but I like double interaction here, and I like being able to play Burning Tree into Stomp whatever they do on turn 1. So and we're going to play Forest here and not let them know what we're up to. So this way maybe they think we're on like a bad Mono Green's Planeswalkers draw, Mono Green Devotion, whatever they're calling the deck now. Darksteel Citadel. Springleaf Drum. Interesting. I'm actually just going to go ahead and go upstairs. I don't know if that's correct. Probably not, but our opponent leading on Darksteel Citadel probably means that they have that install artifact, so they didn't have like an Ornithopter or anything. I don't really know if these decks play Ornithopter, but I mean, I feel like they should. Plays Ginger Brute. Our parents probably going to use Ginger Brute to make a mana here. Play Toolcraft Exemplar. Okay. So we're going to play this. We're going to attack for 3. This will be a really good matchup for Destructive Revelry and Magma Spray. I don't think Red Cat Melee is where we want to be here, but all that glitters. Okay, that's a tough one to race, but doable. Actually, it's actually really not that hard to race now that I'm thinking about it, because we just get to keep putting stuff in front of it, basically until the end of time. Mentor onto the 1/1. I mean, we're getting in for 7 here. They're going to 8, and we have a blocker. They can make it to where it can't be blocked, but they've been missing land, so they have to have a pretty good draw step here to be able to kill us, or to be able to not let us kill them. Feels like we were just able to get out in front. That and our opponent having a 1-lander was pretty good for us. Makes that a 6/6. Are they going to play another Toolcraft Exemplar? Ooh, Stone Coil Serpent for 1. Okay. Atarka's Command off the top, please. Yeah, we'll settle for Bushwhacker. It's basically the same thing. Yeah, pick something, man. Doesn't matter. You're dead. Thanks for playing, boss. Well, that was a pretty good draw step. We take those. Alright, so we want Revelry. We want Magma Spray. Honestly, we probably want Scooz. Plays pretty well with other things here. We do not want Embercleave. Atarka's Command seems medium at best. Questing Beast and Glorybringer seem okay. Like, Glorybringer doesn't seem great. We probably want to cut Bushwhackers. And let's cut a Gallia. We're bringing in a lot of 2-drops here, so. Having 4 Destructive Revelries in our sideboard for this matchup seems a little unnecessary. I mean, maybe your Aura's matchup is that bad with this deck that you just have to have it, but our hand has no interaction, which makes me want to mulligan, but I'm going to be honest, we're up a game, so I'm just going to kind of take my chances here that we draw well. Plus, this hand is, like, hyper-aggressive, so I don't think this is technically a bad hand. But now our opponent's on 5 cards, which makes me feel pretty good. I mean, we can still lose this game. Like, a couple of derpy things on turn 1 and followed by Insult Artifact, like, is a tough way to, like, is a tough scene. Yep. Play a Dork, say go. Next turn we have Mountain and a Rabblemaster. Ooh, white. Isolate? Alright. Well, our opponent's got 2 cards in hand. I'm not going to lie, our opponent having a removal spell there, like, honestly kind of makes me happy. Like, I know that's a weird thing to say, but, like, if our opponent is on a mulligan to 5 and is playing removal as opposed to like like trying to kill us, then I'm okay with that. So we're forced to take a hit here this next turn, and they get to block for free here, but we're forced to take a hit, but Revelry would honestly be awesome. Oh, Insult Artifact number 2 is... So now we're forced to block, because if we don't, we're just dead next turn. Okay. So I don't think we can block here. I mean, A, we're not going to be able to block, but even if we could, I don't think we do here. Yeah, we take 10 and go to 3. Hopefully there's no shrapnel blast in our future. Stone Coil? Okay. So we have to hope that they don't try to make that thing unblockable so that we can block it, take 2, and then Revelry the Ornithopter here. Like, it's not a good play, but our line to winning this game is hoping our opponent messes up. A Tarka's Command over Destructive Revelry would have won us that game right there, but I still think having Revelry is better. Yeah, we have to be able to block the Ginger Brute, and we have to be able to Revelry the Ornithopter. So our line of play is hope that they want to put Lurrus into their hand. Because if that's their play, I think we get... no, I don't think. We definitely get to win if that's their play. If their thought process is, man, as I have to put Lurrus into our hand, I mean, well, if they do a counter spell, then like, oh well, but like, it's like I don't really see our opponent having counter spells in though. They can block and sack and gain 3 if they want to. I'm not really sure what they're looking at here. I'm trying to think of cards that we left in. Revelry would be a good draw here. Atarka's Command would be a good draw here. Springleaf Drum, okay. So all they had to do... Wow. And we just get to send in here. I mean, like, this is... Not gonna lie, amazed we didn't win this game. Like, I don't know what our opponent was playing around there, if I'm being honest. Like, I can respect their want to play around something. Yeah, pump that token, it doesn't matter. I mean, even if they block, they're still taking a quadrillion, so... Again, 5. Yeah, this is still just 7. All right, yeah. So it didn't matter. Okay. It's like, I mean, like we had Revelry as insurance there, but yeah, that was interesting. I'm gonna be honest. I'd really like to know what was going through our opponent's mind to make them think that they didn't attack there, because they had the game won. All they had to do was like pay an attack, was pay one and attack. I, I honestly don't know. Like maybe our opponent's playing around back to nature. I mean, the fact that we drew back to back destructive revelries was insane, but I honestly don't know what our opponent was playing around. Like, back to nature is all I can come up with. But they're dead to back to nature anyway, so. Back to nature is just enchantments. Yeah, they're still dead to back to nature there. Yeah, I don't understand. Ironically, both games 2 and 3, Embercleave would have been an all-star. Um, Still think it's correct to board it out in those matchups, but it would have been insane. This hand seems like, I mean, this hand doesn't seem phenomenal, but it seems good. Our opponent's playing Luris, so I like the idea of having Bone Crusher or having Stomp on turn 2. Our opponent takes a mulligan, which is good for us. Our opponent starts on 6. They're playing Luris, Mountain. All right, so they're playing Burn. Okay, cool. So if our opponent doesn't play a land here, I'm actually going to block. If our opponent doesn't play a land and attacks here, I'm going to block. Yeah, I'm going to call your bluff. I mean, you may have it. I don't know, but you're on a mulligan. So I'm just going to take my chances that hopefully you need light up the stage to do well. Another mountain, okay. Eidolon is fine. I mean, Eidolon's not great. Like, don't get me wrong, but like... So now we're going to stomp the Eidolon. We're going to see what they do, and then we're going to play Bone Crusher Giant the following turn. Cast Stomp. We go to 17 here. Our opponent's probably going to cast Light Up the Stage now. Yep, there it is. Ooh, our opponent's playing the new weird version with Bomat Carrier. I don't know how I feel about this list. This list feels weird to me. Like, ooh. Oh, no, they had a land. Sad face. We're still just going to play the Bone Crusher Giant here. They've only got 2 cards in their hand, so I mean, it might just be good enough. If I'm them, I'm playing the Lava Runner. Unless they're wanting to play a Soul Scar Mage from their hand. That's also not bad. Play Bone Crusher Giant, say go. Hopefully they don't have like a Lightning Strike or a Wizard's Lightning. I mean, land Wizard's Lightning in their hand would be abysmal for me this turn. Because they get to hit me for 2, 4, 5, 7. I go to 10 and I have nothing on the board. Like, we're probably toast if that's the case here. If they have untapped land and Wizard's Lightning in their hand and random unknown card. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Like, that sucks, but it is what it is. That's a play we have to make. So we're going to plan on putting the Gallia in front of the Lava Runner and a Mystic in front of the Bomat Carrier. Unfortunately, they get to replenish their hand to some extent here, but we do have Glorybringer the following turn, which isn't bad. We have yet to cast a Glorybringer, notably, so normally not in the mono red aggro in the actual like burn matchup where you see that card carrying its weight. Normally in like the actual like 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop matchups do you see that card like really carry its weight. I mean, and also it's just a 4/4 haster against like other things, so playing Soulscar Mage, I imagine there because they want to be able to like they're okay with throwing this last card away, whatever it is. Okay, we're just gonna dome me. And they're gonna draw 2 cards here. We get to attack and exert on the Soulscar Mage, and then we get to block with the Elvish Mystic. Now, granted, they do, I mean, if they want to, they can just draw 3 more cards here, so it's not exactly a perfect play. All right, we need like a, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the hell we need. We need another Glorybringer is what we need. Yeah, we have to draw a white land, which is moderately surprising. We're gonna block. I mean, like I don't want to take any damage here. Any damage I can get away with taking is the better. All right, drawing another land is not good. That's 7 lands. We're gonna say go and hope we get another turn here. If I could get away with it, I would stomp the Bomat Courier while they're tapped out, and then, like if we had a Bone Crusher Giant, that would be the play. Yeah, I mean we got nothing here. So if you got us, you got us. Shock kills us. Wild Slash kills us. I mean, any burn spell here kills us. And God knows they have tons of them. They haven't played any of this game, so. Yeah. I mean, it's actually kind of smart to go to damage there because it's 3. Yeah, that was rough. Drawing that many lands was bad there. Magma Spray is good. Red Cat Melee is good. Scavenging Ooze is good. Embercleave is not. Tarkus Command, not good. I think we'd rather have Chandra and the Glorybringer. We can cut 2 of each of our dorks and try it that way. Have a lot of cards for the red matchup. Definitely tell Joseph has played against me one too many times. I don't even think we build decks on purpose to beat up on each other. I think it's just what we play against so much that we just always come prepared for that matchup. How's it going? Did you get your kills with your shotgun? Oh, okay. I was just curious. I didn't know if you got there yet or not. That's quite a bit of games. Nice. Well, just good kill. I meant the guy before that. Alright, I won't watch them. Alright, we are down a game to the old burn deck. But it's the new weird Bomat Courier burn deck that I have not seen in action yet, so I'm interested to see how it goes. This hand seems fine. We'll keep this. We'll lead on Stomping Ground tapped here. Next turn, we have Burning Tree Emissary into Bone Crusher, into Stomp the Bowmat Carrier. With the Red Cat melees and the Magma Sprays here, it feels like this game is in pretty good hands here. If they play an Eidolon, we get to Magma Spray it and then Surge Bushwhacker, so... Lava Runner, okay. Soulscar Mage, okay. I think we're going to play the Llanowar Elves here. Just going to keep their stuff off the board. Next turn, if we draw a land, we get to play Bone Crusher Giant into Surge Bushwhacker, which feels pretty good, so... Our opponent's turn 3 play is to put Lurrus into their hands, so we feel pretty good about that. Land is phenomenal. Cast with Surge. Put our opponent to 4 and say go. I mean, this game we just kind of had the perfect mix of kill stuff and ratio. So, like, Lurrus into, like, G2 is not enough to save you here. I don't think there's really any, like, burn left in our deck. We cut most of it here. We traded it all up for removal. Scavenging Ooze would be good here. So we could go for a Scooze right now. Play Bowmat Carrier from your hand. Okay. So they have 3 cards and a Lurrus. Oh, Lord. Our opponent's really in the tank here. I mean, if they were going to play Bowmat Courier, they should have just played Lurrus and then played Bowmat Courier from their graveyard. Like, if they're going to play Lurrus, that's what they should have done. Chain of the Rocks isn't bad. They get to get our Bone Crusher Giant for free here. I mean, for free. Really? Interesting. I don't think they understand how Chain of the Rocks works against Bone Crusher Giant, so... I mean, that's a fine draw. We're going to attack with everything. Our opponent's going to hop in front of the Bone Crusher Giant. It's like, or they're going to die. Either way. Wild Slash that seems fine. Okay. Our opponent takes 1, goes to 3. We're going to play this.
No, it's fine. No, that's all I was doing. Like, I'm just playing the game.
Do 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 do. There's not really. I mean, I imagine our opponent's playing Lurrus this turn. If I had to guess, like. Clear us into Lava Runner or Bomat Courier, whichever one. Removal spell off the top.
You have to, using the shotgun, kill 3 people without dying in 15 different games. I thought you had it.
Interesting. I'm interested that they conceded right there. That is a very interesting play.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you use the shotgun. Like, I never really use it.
I honestly think that we would rather have Embercleave here over a couple more dorks.
On the map, though, like, sometimes
Try it like that.
it's crappy. But it's just hard because I don't. It's 15 games. Like, that's just.
We have a lot of really good sideboard tech here for this matchup. It's just like it's all about what half of the deck we draw. Our opponent's going back to the drawing board. I mean, they're playing Burn. They get Chained to the Rocks and Searing Blood, which I imagine they want. I mean, they might not. I don't know if they saw Rabblemasters or War Bosses at all. So I don't know if they know if we're on that kind of like red deck or if they think that we're just playing like a bigger like Gruul deck, which I mean technically we are, but Rabblemaster and Legion War Boss on turn 2 is pretty insane. Oh Lord, I'm probably taking a minute here. All right, if I'd known our opponent was going to take this long, I'd have went and peed. Our opponent can wait a second. I'm going to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. It's ridiculous.
Kill 3 people without dying in 15 different games.
All right, our opponent mulligans. This is a quick mulligan for us. This hand's better. We'll keep this. Put War Boss on the bottom. Magma Spray off the top, please, or Red Cat melee. We're just gonna play this in Sego. Elvish Mystic doesn't really seem worth on turn 1, if I'm being honest. Only left those in because we didn't have other stuff to take out, so. Ooh, shock us before combat. Gonna play light up the stage here? Yep. Trying to do as much to us as you can. I mean, you're having a pretty aggressive start here. We'd really like to draw a non-shock land here. Well, guess you can't have it all. Having 3 stomping grounds here has not been great. They get to play the Lava Runner and the Boros Charm, which puts us to 6. Our opponents had an incredibly fast start here. Really need to draw any land that's not our 4th stomping ground here. Like to be able to play Elvish Mystic and Bone Crusher Giant the same turn, so they played that tapped. Play Eidolon here, okay. We're gonna go to 4 here, which is not great, but next turn we do get to play Scavenging Ooze and gain a bunch of life if we don't die. So I mean, this is the start. Like, this is how we do it here. We're just gonna say go. Our opponent's got something they're wanting to play here. Yeah, if we go to 7, then we go to 3. I mean, Lightning Strike Wizard's Lightning kills us off the top. Not much we can do about it. Yeah, that's disappointing. I don't know enough about it, but feels like we're favored in that matchup. All right, 2 and 2. We're playing for the chest and our 100 points back. Yeah, this hand's great. We're gonna keep this. Our opponent has no companion. I don't know why, but every time I see our opponent not have a companion, I just want to automatically put them on blue-black control. Guess Naya Winota is also a reasonable deck to put them on. Rabblemaster's good. I mean, we just have to race here. Like, bring in our removal spells and try to race them. There's not much else to it here. Hopefully we draw a land so that we can play Gallia into Bushwhacker and really put the pressure on. Yep. Pump up the team and get in there. I mean, playing against this deck, we're just trying to get in for as much as we can here, so. Now imagine take the Elvish Mystic trade, take 3, 5, 7, 8, go to 9. Okay. Our opponent's at 9. If they have untapped red source and Winota here, I guess we could die. So we attack. He goes block, block. Yeah, I don't really see any real value here in us attacking, so if we draw a land here, we can play Glorybringer and pick something off and try to get in for the finishing points here. Winota? It's a lot of mana awful fast. Eldritch Evolution for Winota. That's 4, 8, 10, 12. Shouldn't die. It's like I should like... So, let's see here. What do winning lines consist of here? Attacking for 6 and putting them to 1? Right, because we have to use all of our mana to play the Glorybringer, or we can play our land and hope that we hit Cleave or a Tarkus command. Well, that's our out here. Oh, that's unfortunate. We gave ourselves a chance to win, though, so there's that. Alright, so we want Scavenging Ooze. We want Magma Spray. We want Red Cat Melee. Cards that I think are not good include a Tarkus command in this matchup. Questing Bee seems good, but not great. Cut a couple ramping dudes and bring in a Chandra. Try it like that. This hand seems fine. We'll keep this. Hopefully our opponent's like forced to mulligan here or do something so that we can, yeah, see. All right, so our opponent taking a mulligan here is good because pretty much no matter what, they're going to keep one drop. They're going to keep an elf. And us being able to magma spray that thing into oblivion is going to help a lot. Play mountain and say go. Our opponent's on 4 cards. I mean, which is dumb because like we could still lose this game somehow, but magma spray. I think we need to be on the Elvish Mystic plan here. Need to make sure we hit our land drops. We're going to play Rabblemaster and try to get busy here. We still have multiple options here. And having Stomp and Gallia at the ready is pretty good. Actually, don't have Stomp and Galley at the ready, do we? Didn't think about that one. We're gonna stomp that guy. We're gonna force him to have 4th land and Winota. I mean, but even then, I guess them having Winota is really not that big of a deal for us. Drawing a red source here would be really good because we could just cleave Goblin Rabblemaster and just send them back to hell. Alright, they concede. Would have been a red source. That would have been sweet. So our opponent's mulliganing there helped us out a lot. I still think we want as much early interaction as possible here. We have 10 1-drops. I don't think sacrificing Red Cat melee, or sacrificing a land off of Red Cat melee on turn 1 is worthwhile. We can't keep this. We don't have any red mana. We're going to mulligan. This hand seems reasonable. We're going to keep and put it on the bottom. We have threats and interaction, so... Our opponent doesn't have a 1-drop, which is a good start for us. We're going to play that tapped and say go. Interesting. I'm confused as to what's in our opponent's hand here, if I'm being honest. Imagine they're shocking to play something here. I mean, if not, we're going to run out one of our Rabblemasters and try to get in here. Like, I don't know what else we're doing. Maybe this dies. Like, maybe they have a removal spell. Alright, yeah, so they have their own Bone Crusher Giant, which is fine. It's unfortunate that Stomp doesn't deal with Bone Crusher Giant for us. Grok's Harbinger is fine. Run out the Questing Beast here and attack for 4. Interested to see if they block here. Alright. Figured they might want to serve up that trade, but even if they didn't, they're taking 4 and we get the block. So I think they had the ability to say, okay, like Ezekiel's Chariot or whatever the heck that stupid thing is called. We really wanted to draw a land there. And we're going to say go here. Feels like we're going to lose this game, if I'm being honest. I don't really see how we come back from this. Like, the only way that we really win this game is if they don't have Winota, like the rest of the way. Interested that they didn't play the Chariot there, or they didn't play the Giant there. Yep. It sucks, but we're taking 4 here. They have Winota, we're just going to scoop instantaneously. We're going to hang back to block here. Oh, if it's 5 mana, I bet they're playing the card I was talking about from Fires of Invention when it was in Standard, whatever that card's called. Oh, Swinota? Oh, okay. Thanks for playing. Well, if we had red cat melee or something there, we could have made something happen, but we didn't. That was unfortunate that we lost that way, but that's okay. So we went 2-3 with the deck. I'm gonna be honest, the deck feels a lot better than 2-3. I mean, the things that we lost to were we lost to four color Fires of Invention, where our opponent drew four sweepers games 1, 2, and 3, and we managed to win the second one. Like it was a crazy game. I mean, like that whole match was ridiculous. Um, I don't remember what we played against rounds 2 and 3, but we throttled it like whatever we played against. Round 4 we played against Burn, and we lost on the back of game 3 of our opponent having like almost a turn 3 kill. So, and then we lost that last one to Naya Winota. I'm not gonna lie, Winota is one of those cards that I really hate. Like I wish they just get rid of that damn thing. Deck felt really good. I really liked it. Something I'd play again for sure. I don't really know what I'd change, if I'm being honest. I mean, it feels really set up. It feels like it's set up to grind. It feels like it's set up to beat up on aggro decks. It feels like it has to play 4 destructive rivalries, or else it can't keep up with, or else it's unable to keep up with the auras decks in the format. So, but we're gonna take a small break here. When we come back, we'll be playing some more games. Thanks for hanging out, guys.